Hello and welcome back to the Demis Hellen channel. We're going to be looking at Vital and Spire side by side. In no way is this going to be an in-depth video on exactly how it works and how this one makes a super saw and this one doesn't. I have done that in the past and it's quite an entertaining video to make, so I might do another one of those. Let me know in the comments if you want to see something like that. However, we're going to look at the starting points and see how Vital sounds compared to Spire and then how we can match them together. So it's really from a sound design perspective so that you can start on the same footing for each one and then you can start trying to mimic the sounds that you want to make in different synths. So here we are. This is going to be a nice, gentle, relaxed video on the comparison of just an initialized preset on the two, and we're going to look at 9 voices and we're going to match them together so they can sound the same. And we're going to use 9 voices on one oscillator using the standard saw wave on both because they are sawtooth waves to start with. Okay, so Spire, 9 voices. Vital, 9 voices. So Vital is going to sound thicker in my opinion because of the unison tuning. And let's just test this out. So bear with me, I am looking this way and that way because I've got the channels to select and the keyboards over here till I've got the studio set up. So this is Spire and this is Vital. So let's match the volumes first. I'm going to get Spire up to level. Just going to turn up the master volume for the oscillator and the master volume for the synth. Okay, so the levels are quite right, but you can hear the density of the voices on Vital are much thicker. So I'm going to balance and match Vital to Spire because I like the sound of Spire, so we're going to mimic the starting point. And once we've got the starting point of 9 voices versus 9 voices, you could save this as your default preset to load, and then you've got the same starting point as Spire, and you can do that. What separates them from each other is things like the audio engine in the background, the filters, the way the envelope work. There's all different things, but we're going to keep this nice and relaxed. If you want to see more videos like this, let me know. It'd be interesting to see. So let's have a look at Vital. We can see that it's much thicker. So I'm going to start by reducing this to half, 10% of volume, voice density. Okay, so you can hear that they're getting closer together now. I'm just going to do this and oscillate an octave lower, just because the keyboard's closer now. You can see me. So the main difference I'm hearing first is the width of the sound. So in Vital, you can see that the stereo unison is set to maximum. That's maximum width. Whereas here, we've got it set to 0. So we're going to set that to wide. So we're matching the stereo width of the voices. So anything, this is now louder, so I'm just going to turn Spire down a smidge. Just a bit more. Very similar. Now, that's a good ballpark area. We're not trying to make this perfect, by the way, in this video. This is not an analytical video. This is just understanding how to get them side by side. So we could reduce the unison density a bit more on Vital to sort of mimic that, but what I'm actually going to do is talk about the Unison Spread. So if we jump into this in full screen mode so you can see when I zoom this in because it's quite detailed here, you can see this unison stack is sort of biased towards the middle and then spreads out, so more of the voices are clumped into the center and it gives you that classic detune vibe, very similar to like a JP8000 and how Spire mimics that with the density control up here. So with this, if we make these more linear to start with instead of more crushed together, if we bring this down, you can see they become more uniform. So I'm going to right click, enter value and type 0. So we've got perfect spacing. It's just nice and straightforward, equal space detuned voices. Let's put that back down to 60%. So now all we have to do is bring these voices down. So I'm going to bring it down, let's say 7%. Spire's just a little bit thicker, but this is all down to your personal taste, really. I'm just going to turn the release down a bit on there. So I'm going to say Vital sounds a bit cleaner, and Spire sounds a little bit warmer. It's that age-old question of, does this sound analog? It's just got a warmer, rounded tone to the starting point. You could mimic that with a different oscillator type, but we're just using the Sawtooth for now, the standard one, to keep it the same. But you could use the drive control in the filters on Spire to add a little bit more of a rounded tone to that. And the same goes for adding some distortion on here. You could add the soft clip in there and just mix a smidge of that in and make it a little bit more round. So it's entirely up to you how you want to approach that, but they sound now roughly the same. So tonally, there is a difference, but you've got a good starting point to recreate a preset from Spire in Vital, or the opposite way around. So the filters come into their own. They are unique filters, like for say the Acido sounds very much like the TB303. I don't know the behind the scenes and the internals of this, by the way, but you can do some TB303 stuff with that filter and some other ones as well. But here in Vital, it's not as intuitive. You can get that sound, but there's a lot more tweaking that goes into it because there's no dedicated filter. But you can do it with a combination of certain things. So it's easier in there, a bit more difficult in here because you've got to tweak it. But with that, we've got the same positions. Filters we'll skip over for now. So just briefly, we're going to look at the envelopes. Can we recreate these envelopes in Spire here in Vital? And the answer is yes, we can. But again, they'll be coded slightly different and things like that. I like the ease of Spire. So you can just literally click and change your shape in the state. So there's 3 states. You've got like a plucky state, a linear state where it's more straight, and then like a bowed state. And that's the same for each one of the attack, decay, sustain, and release, as you can see there. Here in Vital, we have the options for attack, decay, sustain, and release. And we've got some extra controls, hold and delay. And up here we have SLT and SLL. I've got a video on those if you want to check that out on screen now. But here in Vital, we're just going to focus again on the attack, decay, sustain, and release. So I'm going to bring the sustain down, decay up to the 50%-ish mark, about there. Decay to 50-ish% on here, and sustain down. And I'm going to mimic a sort of more linear, so you can see it's not perfectly straight, this one. So we're going to straighten this up and just add a little curve into it, so it mimics the same thing here. And let's just listen to how that sounds compared. So this is Spire. And that's Vital. Very, very similar. So you can recreate the filters. The upside to Vital is you can really get nitty and gritty. So if I just jump to envelope 2 here to show you, let's say we want a bit of attack and a bit of a decay. We can do the same things here. There's 3 states, sort of like the low slung, overslung, and linear. We can do the same under, over, and linear, but we can really control where we want it. We can really push the boundaries of the shapes. Whether you need to do that, probably not, but it's nice to have that extra little bit of fine tuning if you really want to get honed in on your sound design. So there is that option with Vital, not with Spire. So now you know how to match a free synth to a paid synth in terms of sound. It's just about understanding the tools that you have at your disposal to tweak that sound to match them together. And like I said, the envelopes, the filters might be different. But if you're just going to go for the initial sound and then do some third-party processing like the reverb and delay and things, then they're going to use the same delay and reverbs in your insert chain instead of using the onboard effects, which are very different. In my personal opinion, Spire sounds a lot more premium in terms of effects. So with that said, thank you very much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, you know exactly what to do. And if you want to ask me anything or just comment on the video, let me know down below. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you all in the next video. Take care.